You have successfully managed to claw your way into the Casa Berenice Recordings podcast, episode 9.
This podcast is our way to release multi-tracked recordings from house concerts that we host in our living room. We being Clay Chaplin and Heather Lockie, and including our Claude friends Xenotron, Fuzzy, Nemesis, and Fluff Nugget. This episode features a performance by Heather Lockie and Laura Steenberge performing their arrangements of folk songs. It was recorded live at a Casa Berenice house show on Saturday, October 5th, 2019.
Stick around after the performance for an interview with Heather Lockie and Laura Steenberge.
And now, here's Heather Lockie and Laura Steenberge singing and playing viola and viola da gamba.
I'm going away for to stay a little while, but I'm coming back, though I go 10,000 miles. I'm going away for to stay. But I'm coming As I rode out last winter's night, a drink and a sweet wine, conversing with that pretty little girl that stole this heart of mine. So fare you well, my own true love, so fare you well for a while. I'm going away, but I'll be back if I'm gone 10,000 miles. Oh, who will shoe your feet, my love? And who will glove your hand? And who will kiss your red rosy cheek when I'm gone to the foreign land? So fare you well, my own true love, so fare you well for a while. I'm gone away, but I'll be back if I'm gone 10,000 miles. My father will shoe my feet, my love. My mother will glove my hand, and you will kiss my red rosy cheek when you come from the foreign land. So fare you well, my own true love, so fare you well for a while. I'm going away, but I'll be back if I'm gone 10,000 miles. Oh, don't you see that lonesome dove, oh, sitting on that vine, a mourning for the loss of its mate, and why not me for mine? So fare you well, my own true love, so fare you well for a while. I'm going away, but I'll be back if I'm gone 10,000 miles. Yes, love, I see that lonesome dove, a flying from vine to vine, a mourning for the loss of its mate, just like I am for mine.
Then fare thee well, my own true love. Then fare thee well for a while, for the ship is away waiting and the wind blows free, and I am bound away to the sea, Mary Ann. And I am bound away to the sea, Mary Ann. Oh, don't you see the pretty turtle dove sitting on the pine? He's mourning the loss of his own true love, as I now mourn for mine, my dear Mary Ann. As I now mourn for mine, my dear Mary Ann. Oh, the lobster boiling in the pot, and the crayfish on the line. They're suffering long, but it's nothing like the ache I bear for you, my dear Mary Ann. The ache I bear for you, my dear Mary Ann. Oh, we're a-sittin' in the belly of a whale with a bottle of gin in hand and a great big bowl for to mix it in. I'd fix a drink for you, my dear Mary Ann. I'd fix a drink for you, my dear Mary Ann. If all you young men were hares on the mountain, if all you young men were hares on the mountain, how many young girls would take guns and go hunting? If you young men could sing like blackbirds and thrushes, if you young men could sing like blackbirds and thrushes, how many young girls would go beating the bushes? But you young men are given to frisking and fooling. But you young men are given to frisking and fooling. So I'll leave you alone and attend to my schooling.
With your measuring of the horizon, take not mystery from my wings. In a moment of utter betrayal, stutter not the noise of wings. When marble men and maidens at the touch of their cold philosophy, for all this came a ruin in the dull catalogue of things, a wild and timid nature bending to the silent screams, the splendor of the draperies, gold be silver and red be green. There was an awful rainbow, explanations will clip an angel's wings. For all this came a ruin in the dull catalogue of things. At the east end of town, at the foot of the hill, there's a chimney so tall that says Aragon Mill. But there's no smoke at all coming out of the stacks, for the mill has pulled out and it ain't coming back. And the only sound I hear is the cry of the wind as it blows through the town. Weave and spin, weave and spin. streets. Since the looms have all left, it's so quiet I can't sleep. And I'm too old to change, but I'm too young to die. And there's no place to go for my old man and I. And the only sound I hear is the cry of the wind as it blows through the town. Weave and spin, weave and spin. Since the mill has shut down, 'twas the only life I know. Tell me, where will I go? Tell me, where will I go?
I'm Heather Lockie. I'm a performer-composer. I sing, I play the viola, write songs, and various other kinds of music. And in this project, I am singing and playing viola.
I'm Laura Steenberge. I'm a performer and composer as well. I play a bunch of different instruments and write music in different styles. And for this project, I sing and play viola da gamba. I met you, Heather, at Timber Space in Echo Park. That must have been 15 years ago. And you were playing with Listing Ship. And I was really excited to see this group with these string instruments and all these women singing in harmony together. And afterwards, you came up to me and said, "You look familiar. Do we know each other?" And I said, "No, I think we just look like the kind of people who would know each other." And you said, "I'm Heather. I play viola and I tutor English." And I said, "I'm Laura. I play the upright bass and I study linguistics." And then a week later, it turned out you needed a sub for Listing Ship for bass. And then we've been playing music together ever since then.
There's an intersection of our interests that is really similar. But then there's other things that we do that I don't think are so related. I mean, we're both pretty diverse. Like the performance that you're doing these days, I think is beyond diverse. It's just really effective and awesome. But then you have this whole other side of you that's really into folk songs and really into writing your own music, which I don't know if you perform that much right now.
Not in terms of songs. I feel like that has ebbed and flowed, and sometimes I can't pull that part of me out. Sometimes I can't sing songs. And recently I've been able to feel that coming back, and I'm really happy about it. So doing this performance or having this project, it's not just really great to be making these arrangements with you, but it's larger than that. It's finding my singing voice, coming back in a new way and feeling like I'm in a different chapter of life. I can't sing the same words that I could sing before, or if I do, I have to figure out how to sing them again because I'm perhaps a different person. But I thinking about your question, Clay, there's a bit of superhero origin story in here that Heather and I both like to sing songs and sing in harmony, but that's because I learned how to sing in harmony from doing music with Heather. It's just been so far back now that now I know how to do it. But I mean, I directly learned how to start thinking about that from working with you. And maybe I had the being a bassist, I can think in terms of chords, like on the spot, but it had just never occurred to me that I could use my voice to apply that same kind of logic to singing, and the concept that you could improvise harmonies like on the spot. That was something I saw you being able to do, and then I was like, oh, I could learn how to do that too, but it had never occurred to me before that.
Whoa, that's crazy. I mean, you already told me that a while ago, but when you told me that, it totally blew my mind, because I learned how to improvise harmonies from Kim and Karen Leong when I was in 7th grade, and we had this long half-hour walk to junior high together, and we were all in orchestra, and we were really little nerds and weren't very good conversationalists, so we would whistle our orchestra parts together, and then we would get bored of the orchestra parts and we'd start making up stuff, but it was all in whistling. Wow. And they were twins, so we had 3 parts that we could just kind of in our own like little very basic 7th grader way start doing that. So that's where I started figuring out harmonies and how we could just do our own harmonies if we felt like it. I think it's somewhat based in our history, because I always really liked the songs that you would write, and I always would want to show you the songs that I was writing, and whenever I'd be working on something else, something new, I'd be like, oh, I can't wait to show this to Laura. And then I would, when I felt like it was like at a ready point, I'd be like, time to show it to Laura. So we would get together and share songs and talk about sometimes some of the nerdier elements of songwriting and performing, and then other times we would get together and just fuck off and improvise, and you know, you're one of the people that I really love to do that with. And it may not happen for years, but when it does, it's fun, and I always know that like at some point we're gonna do that again down the road. It's just one of those musical relationships.
Yeah. Another thing comes to mind, like when we're directly collaborating, something I really like about it is a way that I feel like our brains are different from each other. And I can try to put that into words. I don't know, I tend toward some kind of oversimplified Gestalt view of things. And yeah, it's hard to put into words, but when I think about you as having these like particular visions. And it's like, you'll be like, I don't know why, but I'm thinking about this one crazy little image, this little thing, and it feels to me like it's placing like a tack somewhere in space, and it's like out there, it's like, you know, and we're like, oh, okay, let's like put that spot there. Now how do we get there? You know, how, and yeah, maybe it's like the universal versus the specific or something like that. And I'm imagining like you as drawing these like intricate patterns and like weaving things, and then like I'm finding like the big container, I'm like drawing like the circle around it that makes that pattern stand out, or you know, something like that. That
totally makes sense. I haven't been aware of this, but it makes a lot of sense. I identify with the tag thing a lot. And I'm aware when you're like, how can we get there? And I kind of know when you're doing that, but I don't necessarily like think about it when we're like making something.
Yeah, I think I like solving problems, but I'm not always the best at like selecting the right problem to solve or having the thing in my mind. But once there is something, I like reacting to the environment that I'm in. And so I feel like your imagination is just like always bringing these ideas. And at first sometimes I think, okay, right, like don't say no, like, and then like I sit on it a little while and I'm like, oh my gosh, I think I see how this could all fit together. I think it, yeah, I see where it's like all can be in the same universe together.
Yeah, it probably wouldn't work so well if you had 2 tack envisioners trying to work on like a project together, or 2 container drawers working on the same project, because then you just would have like a really big container or a lot of tacks.
Well, if you get a big enough container, it can be a bathtub, and we both really like to take baths.
That's
so
true.
it could be
Baths are a very important part of the creative process.
Yeah.
Another thing that I really like about working with Laura is that she's like a really good musician who likes to sing, but you're not a trained singer, and I'm not a trained singer. And I do this thing too. I would probably obsess over it a lot more than I should. I should just go like get more vocal lessons or something. But one of my great joys is working with sounds that I can make. And I like the qualities of your voice that are untrained. And that's something that's like you can't always find in musicians.
Yeah. I always believed when I was younger that I just had the kind of voice that couldn't be a singer. And it was really special to me at some point to realize, like when I was a teenager and I started writing really dumb songs. But after a few years, I could notice that my voice was like a little bit better than it had been. You know, that just the act of singing regularly will make your voice somehow a more version of itself. And so that's like really important to me, that I can do it at all. And so all of the things that we talk about, like thinking about the shape of your mouth and everything, and these are things that I wouldn't know. You know, these are things I learned from singing with you. And I, think about this a lot, like when I encounter other people who express some kind of deep reservation about singing and that they can't sing. And, I just like knowing that it's possible for anybody, that I could just spend time with my voice and figure out how to do something with it. And I appreciate what you're saying, and I'm glad that you're okay with my voice.
Yeah, I really like your voice. Well, we've been working on these arrangements on and off, for a couple of years, informally, but we would just get together and play music and then, be like, let's play this song. And I mean, that's how a lot of arrangements just start, by playing them and having fun with them. And then at a certain point, I was really liking what we were playing around with. And then at another certain point, we were like, let's make these more solid. And then we should write them down, and then we should perform them. And then we didn't have time to actually work on the arrangements and learn to play them. So then we made a little residency for ourselves and went to a cabin on the beach and worked on them for a couple of days. And that was really helpful toward solidifying them.
Yeah, like a lot of folk songs, you don't really have to arrange them. You can just sort of like do it.
Play them.
But the way these were coming together is they're kind of Baroque, they're like pretty particular. So every time we'd meet up and we'd be like trying to remember these very specific details. And so that's just the direction that these are going in, is that we're really enjoying actually composing these as like specific arrangements of these songs. And that's like a certain kind of manifestation of folk music. And so if we're going to take it in that specific way, then we should just take it to the end point of that and really learn those nuances. And so having this performance last night was like the impetus to really crystallize and have certainty about all the little twists and turns. And this is like our first time to really present those for people and feel what it's like, and it's like now they're crystallized, and now there's this next stage, right, where like it can sink deeper and deeper into my body, like ruts, like wagon wheel ruts kind of thing. And then I think when that starts to happen, like it's like maybe like a curing process or something.
Oh yeah.
That then these arrangements themselves are going to be a scaffolding, and they're going to start to like twist and turn and change as we like sink deeper into them. And so I'm just so happy to be at this point in the process and seeing, having this vision of what's going to happen over the next year as we continue to work with them.
Yeah. When we were playing last night, I felt this really glassy, kind of fragile quality to some of the newer songs that we have not played for years. And then there was a couple songs that we've played longer.
We've done so many versions of Hairs on the Mountain.
So many versions of Hairs on the Mountain. It's kind of funny. But that's the song that is in us because we've been playing it in some incarnation. I've played it sometimes with you on and off over the years, and I never had gotten like super comfortable with what I was playing until we sat down and like worked on it for a long time.
Yeah, I do think of all of the things, that's the one that plays itself the most, or that's how it comes out as an arrangement, as like a song that just plays itself. We're like, we just do these chords and we just...
Well, there's so many ways of approaching a song. Like I feel like Aragon Mill kind of played itself last night too. But we didn't do anything. We just sang it. Like there's no arrangement. There's just a vocal harmony and like some wispy viola sounds and a really solid, beautiful gamba part that's very simple.
Yeah, but I think that finding the right like groove, for these songs, like the point where it starts to feel simple is a little bit, takes some trial and error, right? I mean, for me with the gamba, I've been playing a few years now, but it's like anytime I do something new on it, I have to find that, right? It's like I still have so much to learn about playing this instrument, and I'm still so limited by what I can play, and which I would like my ability to keep expanding, but like there was some questions when we started working on Aragon Mill, like how sing-songy should, like how much swing should there be to the accompaniment. And the same thing with Crossing Muddy Waters, like the way that you sing it and the general feel has been kind of the same from the start, and like those harmonies, like we kind of nailed that all out really early.
Ago, that's true.
But it wasn't until really recently that sort of finger-picking groove, which I feel great about, but I don't yet have the ability to play that really solidly. And so it's like aspirational to perform it like that. But once we found that, it was like that.
This is the way
that's
it should
the
be.
Simple groove that will like rest underneath the way we know the song should feel.
Right.
And so then now
we have to
I
grow
have
into
to get the
arrangement.
chops to play it.
Yeah.
Actually, the performance last night, Emily and Daniel were performing too, and I started performing folk music with Emily and Daniel and Ezra and you. This is all about 15 years ago. There was just a kind of
I did not know that started happening right about then.
Yeah,
because I met you guys and that's what you kind of were doing, so I kind of thought that had just always been happening.
Yeah, I mean, different people had their different eras and artists they gravitated towards in terms of what kind of songs that they would learn. But also, I think I'm just really interested in anonymity in music. And so folk songs is like one branch of that. Just the idea of how a song gets shaped and altered through the centuries, and all of those different mouths that sing it and shape it. It's like a rock tumbler.
Oh yeah. That's a great concept.
Yeah, and knowing that we have the agency to change the words. I remember when I was younger feeling like I didn't have the words to communicate. I would have some friends I would sing folk songs with, and they would be like, I think that it's this word here, and I think that it's this chord here. And I was like, I didn't realize that didn't seem right to me. Can't you just change whatever you want about it? Or that seems important. That's just like a way that human superorganism communicates with itself, that you take something familiar and you can increase the likelihood of communicating your thought or your meaning because you have this shared context, and that one little tweak you make is going to be apparent to, somebody else who's familiar with that sound.
Yeah. A couple of weeks ago, I was poking around on the internet trying to find, because I knew we were going to do this show, and I was trying to find definitive places that at least like a couple of the songs came from, and I have not been able to find anything definitive. Like, I did find out that a couple of the tunes are attributed to Alabama and North Carolina, which I just thought they were straight from England. So I learned a couple of things, but none of this is really verifiable, and it just seems like they go back and back and back. And the fact that people have changed them over the course of time, or changed the words, or added a verse here, or taken away a verse there, makes me really happy. Because taking this song that's clearly meaningful to people over hundreds of years and having them feel like it's personal enough to them that they can change it and adapt it to what they want to say is probably the main reason I'm interested in folk music. And it's a really interesting line, like, when is that okay to do that? Like, I wouldn't go change a lot of music necessarily. But with folk songs, I don't feel like I feel like it's part of the history of that tradition that it will get changed, and it will keep on being changed over, the future of the song. And that's maybe a roundabout compliment to the song.
I remember someone asked me about the Elizabeth Cotton song, Freight Train. They were like, oh, what street do you say? Because it says, like, way down on Old Chestnut Street. And it had never occurred to me before that,
that's a thing.
It could be a game where you change it to the name of a street that's familiar to you. But I think that's another example of a song that has a clear author, but sounds like a classic song that seems as though you could adapt it. I have another thought about folk songs. It's that I have a really strong memory of who introduced me to almost every folk song that I know. And I mean, some of it might come from books or from, like Hares on the Mountain. I learned about that song through Adrian Tenney. So I can't think about that song without being aware that that's the person that like gave that song to me. And that's another thing I like about folk songs, is feeling like this social web, like there's this there's this person that comes with the song. That with the song. I love that. I'm Laura Steenberge, and you can follow me on Instagram at Imaginary Music, and my website is laurasteenbergeportfolio.com.
I'm Heather Lockie, and you can hear more of my music at marshweed.bandcamp.com. I'm on Instagram at marshweedinthegarden, and also you can follow various doings and comings and goings at heatherlockie.com. Thank you for joining us on the Casa Berenice Recordings podcast. We would like to thank the musicians for performing and our lovely community here in Northeast LA for attending our concerts.
For more information about our house concerts or our current release catalog, please visit our website, casaberenicerecordings.com.
And thank you for listening.